Welcome back, everybody. It's Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. Born on this date in 1893, writer William March of Mobile. In 1954, former Auburn football coach and current U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville of Camden, Arkansas. Let's talk about IVF squabbling, fallen trees in the woods, star IDs, and folks who eat clay. I'm Mike Morgan, and we're down in Alabama. Today, you might be hearing Republicans and Democrats alike say that their opponents are against in vitro fertilization, yet everyone who's speaking up on the topic say they are not against in vitro fertilization. This is a continued fallout, of course, from the Alabama Supreme Court decision that, for a couple of weeks, put IVF clinics in our state in legal limbo. Democrats have used that moment to argue that abortion-related laws could be used to deny IVF access. On Tuesday, U.S. Senator from Alabama Katie Britt joined Senator Ted Cruz of Texas in bringing a bill that would incentivize states to protect IVF by withholding Medicaid funding from any state that banned IVF. Democrats killed it. Later in the day, Democrats brought to the floor their Right to IVF bill that would also expand requirements for some insurers to cover treatments. Republicans killed that one. So you see how both measures went far enough beyond preserving IVF's legality that neither had much of a chance. We have 48 days remaining until November 5th. The pine beetle epidemic hasn't slowed down in Alabama, where officials say the beetle has more active hotspots than it has in 23 years. It's bad enough that the U.S. Forest Service is cautioning hunters and hikers to watch for fallen trees. Now, trees falling in the woods do make a sound, so if you hear a loud crack, you might want to look around. The USDA suggests that you look up so that you might identify dead trees or places where the tree canopy is brown, yellow, or red. Of course, don't just wander around looking upward either, or you could trip over something such as the tree that's already fallen. If the wind is blowing, you'll also want to move your tent to an open space. Now, while it's always important to be careful with your fire and make sure you fully put it out, there is added risk for wildfires when you have dead lumber laying around and more possibly coming down soon. Federal officials are warning folks to get their star ID as early as they're able to, or they could be stuck waiting, reports AL.com's John R. Roby. Tara Course of the Transportation Security Administration said there could be a rush of people trying to get their star IDs come spring. The Star ID is Alabama's program under the Federal Real ID Act, which makes your driver's license or state ID a stronger identification by verifying your Social Security number and legal status. It was passed in 2005 and was supposed to be mandatory for boarding aircraft by 2008, but 6 extensions later, May 7th is the deadline. So if you don't have your Star ID, you may miss that May 8th flight to Bora Bora. According to the TSA, only about 56% of licenses or IDs nationwide are Real ID compliant. In order to get your Star ID, you'll need to provide several documents. There's a Star ID document list on the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency's website. Hey, we're going to take the quickest of ad breaks, just enough that we can afford some dry feed for the newsroom cat, and we'll be back with some information on why some folks eat or have eaten clay. I'm talking about the good earth here. Y'all stay with us. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Now, lots of things have taken place in the South. Some of it's folklore, and even if it's true, it doesn't mean it was a universal thing or that you did it or that you've even heard of it. Geophagy, the eating of dirt or clay, is a real thing. Amanda Karamabadi is going to tell us more about it.
Did you know eating dirt was a thing? It is in the South. The practice of dirt eating, or to use the proper scientific term, geophagy, is common in regions throughout the world. And in the South, the consumption of white dirt is a generational practice with a long and elusive history. White dirt, also known as kaolin, is a kind of soft, chalky clay that's used to make things like paper, paint, and porcelain. The mineral kaolinite is one of the most common in the world, and some of the best-known deposits are located in the southeast, along a fall line that runs across Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. The fall line is in roughly the same area as the South's Black Belt, where over 1 million enslaved Africans were brought to work on plantations. But in fact, the origins of geophagy extend far beyond the African slaves who were thought to have brought the practice to the United States. Consuming white dirt is a practice that has traditionally and unfairly been attributed to pregnant African American women. However, eating dirt shows up in the earliest recorded histories of mankind. Hippocrates wrote about women eating dirt in ancient Greece, and that's just the first written record. The practice may have existed for hundreds of thousands of years before that. And today, accounts of geophagy exist in nearly every country. But why? In moderation, eating kaolin can be seen as preventative. While some in the medical community warn about the potential dangers of consuming kaolin, others recognize its cultural and historic significance. Eating dirt is a practice that has been around forever, and it's not going to go away anytime soon.
Well, thanks for that, Amanda. In time for breakfast and everything. All right. Now, I was thinking while Amanda was talking, and although I had said before that some things may have happened in the South, but it sure doesn't make them universal traditions, I did recall some geophagy-related thing that I'll own up to in one of my very earliest recollections. I swear I was 2, but childhood amnesia is supposed to prevent memories from going that far back, so maybe I was 3. My cousin Stephanie handed me a big cup of dirt and said it was a milkshake. Now, right now, as I speak to y'all, I know better. I would not fall for such a thing today. But she handed me the cup of dirt about 10 seconds before I reached the age of knowing that a cup of dirt can't magically change into a milkshake. It wasn't clay, it was more of a sandy soil, but I guess I can't completely deny the geophagal experience. Don't eat clay or dirt of any kind, folks. And if you plan to eat dirt, promise me you'll first ask a doctor or a teacher, ball coach, or anybody who can get you to the Piggly Wiggly. Thanks for listening to us. We're going to be back here again in the morning. Until then, y'all come by and see what we're doing on the internet at al.com.